Morning everyone. We're going to work today on our next project, which is going to be making a mushroom fairy garden. When I first started this, I played around with the different types of things we might draw today. I came up with this one here that kind of has a more rounded mushroom but has a big sunflower at the bottom. And then I came up with this one here. It kind of has more of a inner curve with stuff at the top of that one too. And then there's another flower at the top of that one too. You're going to make something like that today. This is my final project that I came up with for our ending project, so we'll see what we can do today. What you're going to need today for your project is your canvas. You're also going to need a pencil. And then I also have here some Sharpies. And I have with me, I don't know if you guys have or not, but I have some color pencils as well. So let's get drawing. The number one thing you're going to want to remember with this is that you need to draw light on your canvas because darker marks are really hard to erase. So I want you to draw very, very lightly a line down the center of your page. Like I said, very lightly, because this one's actually going to be erased later. This is just kind of giving you a chance to look at where you're going. Then another really light one. So it looks like you have a window on your canvas to start. Now, because I colored my canvas in the whole entire way, you can't really see where my lines are on this picture. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is take and make a indent into your, so almost like a backwards C on one side, and then you're going to make another backwards C on this side. This is going to be the top part of your mushroom. Then you're going to take your C and you're going to make it into a bigger, almost like a pot that's going to come down and around. Do the same thing on this side, so that it has the same kind of shape to it. As you can see, none of my mushrooms really have the same shape to them. They all kind of come out a little bit differently, and that's okay. One thing about this is it doesn't have to be perfect. If at any time while you're working on this you need to, you can pause it and do what you need to do with it so that you can go along with it. Okay, now that I have this part, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring the top part of my mushroom up a little bit. And then I'm going to connect it. I'm not going to worry too much about filling the lines in because when you go to use your Sharpie, it's going to fill it in for you. I'm going to bring some lines down. This is my center line, so I'm just going to make that a little darker. And some more lines down. Pretty funny looking mushroom, huh? Now I'm going to take and really close to the edge of this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the top of my mushroom. I personally like having a little smokestack. See how that kind of, when I rub it away, it makes a smear mark, but like I said, the Sharpies will help that later. I'm making mine a little bit darker, hoping that you guys are going to be able to see it better. You could be creative too. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. I can't wait to see what they look like. next we want to give them windows to look out of. I gave mine a little window box. And put a line down, and a line across. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to make my door. Make like little steps coming down from my doorway. Next, I'm going to kind of make my little ground. Now, when it comes to making my mushrooms on the ones I made, I didn't actually do them in advance, but you could. I use mine as fillers later on. You could add your little mushrooms in. I'm going to do both adding in and adding it later. Then I'm going to add my flower in now. My flower is going to kind of be coming off of the side. So I'm going to just make a little flower going up. We're going to do a circle. We're going to kind of do the first picture I showed you. I think they're a little bit easier to do. And then draw your flower around. When you're doing yours, you could make the flower a little bit larger because this is a very small mushroom in my fairy world. Okay. All right. Next step is to pull out your Sharpies. So when I do my mushroom, I personally want to do it a brown color. That's blue. A brown color, because that's what I think of whenever I think of mushrooms. But you could also outline it in a black color. Anything that you're going to be coloring in, or any pencil marks you're going to want to use a Sharpie on. Now, if you did yours a little lighter than I did mine, the Sharpie or the pencil marks will just kind of disappear. Mine I did darker, like I said, so they're not disappearing completely, but they're pretty much going away. Okay. I'm going to keep outlining our picture. Now, if you're like me, you might have a ton of different colored Sharpies. You can always pull those out too. I'm using the colors that I specifically gave you in your box that we brought you, but anyone else who's watching it, any color Sharpie works just as well. That's how I made my other one, with a whole bunch of different Sharpies. And we're going to draw our little lines in. I purposefully made these kind of curved to kind of give it some depth and perception. Okay, for my door and my chimney, I'm gonna go ahead and use black. Now don't forget, this line that's down the middle and this line that goes this way, we're going to be erasing pretty soon. I know this is going a lot faster because I've done it several times. So like I said, if you need to, go ahead and pause it. And catch yourself up. Okay. Now on my mushroom, I think I'm gonna make these brown, or black rather, but I might make them black and brown. These are my like little dots that sometimes you see on mushrooms. You could also draw, maybe it looks like it's patchworked up, and draw like a little box, or this is just how you want it to look. Okay, I'm gonna color this little guy in. I'm gonna take my green, because this is my grass. I'm gonna go ahead and put my green on here. Okay. Green on my stem. Okay. Anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely love purple, so we're gonna make my flower purple. And I'm gonna make my inside orange. Okay. So that's where I'm at so far. I'm gonna take my pencil now and I'm gonna erase these lines that we put in there. I'm also gonna try and erase some of the other lines that I can see. Now, if I were doing this and not videoing it, this might be something I'm doing while I'm watching TV. I've been known to do these things whenever I'm sitting in meetings, obviously not on a canvas, but maybe drawing so that I keep my mind on what I'm doing. Sometimes I use it as a keep my mind busy and active on what I'm doing. And I've also done it whenever I'm in need of coping and stuff too. So you can draw anytime you want. And it's great to use your imagination. Now, like I said, I'm gonna use some more, this is my grass around my mushroom. I'm gonna make another mushroom down here, but this one I'm just gonna use this. Just a little bit different. Put some grass by the door. Since I made my door so big, I think I'm gonna put a little, whoops, a little pot, like I have a flower pot. Extend my little porch here. These little added touches like the flower pot are what you feel the most comfortable with. You might not want to put a flower in. Now, I want my fairies to know that they're welcomed in my garden. So I'm going to make a little sign that says F-A-I-R-I-E-S. Welcome. I'm gonna make a little sign. I like my fairies welcome on my last one better. Sometimes things like this, it's easier to write with the smaller markers than the larger ones. All right, last step is coming up here. So now that we have this all done, we've got grass here. I'm gonna put some more grass just out and about. This is what I was talking about with just adding some different textures, different things. Okay, now that we have all that done, I'm gonna put these aside. You could use crayons. You probably could use Sharpies too. I like using color pencils because I think it just gives a different look to it. So now I'm just going to take my color pencils and I'm going to go ahead and shade in what I would like my fairy house to look like. So I'm just going to do all this real quick. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop my video, and if you guys want, look on the Google Classroom and look on the posting and you'll see my done fairy garden. Thanks guys, have a good day.